What's up everyone, it's Mr. Lang, and in this video we're going to be talking about perfect square trinomials. And really this is nothing new. We've been working with these for a little while now, but what I'm going to show you is quicker ways to deal with these and recognize them, because we are going to be working a lot with them in the upcoming lessons. So anyway, all you need is a piece of paper and a pencil and you are good to go. So let's get started. Alright, so to kind of set up this whole idea, what I want to do is find the product here of x plus 5 quantity squared. And x plus 5 is a binomial, so remember what this means. It would be x plus 5 times itself, x plus 5. So if we were to multiply this out, we would use the window. So we'll do that. We'd have an x and a 5 and another x and a 5. So let's do this. X times x is x squared. X times 5 is 5x. X times 5 is 5x. And 5 times 5 is 25. And when we combine our like terms, we got the diagonals here. 5x and 5x gives us 10x. So what we end up getting here is x squared plus 10x plus 25. And what I want to see is if we can see the pattern here of what's going on. We started with x plus 5 squared, and really what changes here is this 5. And here's the shortcut. So if we see one of these binomials squared, we can do this without doing the window. So 5, look at this middle term. It's a 10x. That's just 5 times 2. So we just doubled this number to get to the 10x. And to get to the 25, well, you take 5 and you square it. And that's the pattern. You just double this number to get the b, and you square it to get the c. Now this worked with a positive 5, so x plus 5. Let's see if it actually works with a negative as well. So we're going to try x minus 3 squared. And we know that's x minus 3 times x minus 3. So I don't need to rewrite that part again, but we'll go to the window. So we got an x and a minus 3, and x and a minus 3. Same thing again. X times x is x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. Same thing down here. And negative 3 times a negative 3 gives me positive 9. When I combine my like terms, the negative 3x and negative 3x, I end up getting x squared minus 6x plus 9. And I believe this pattern holds. To get to the negative 6x, we just doubled the negative 3. So negative 3 times 2 gave us the negative 6x, but negative 3 squared gives us the positive 9. So this pattern holds. So listen, this is a shortcut. So when we see these binomials squared, we can just go right to this pattern. And we call these things perfect square trinomials because when you do factor them back, they give you this. They give you the same thing times itself. All right. So let's get to the kind of questions that you're going to see. All right. So we want to find the product here without using the window. So now that we understand this pattern, we can use it to our advantage to save ourselves some time. X plus 6 quantity squared. Well, 6 times 2, well, we know it would be x squared. The b term is you take this 6, you times it by 2, so that would be positive 12x. And to get the c term, you do 6 squared, which is 36. Just like that, and we've done it without using the windows, and it is right. For part b here, it's x minus 10 squared. We start with the x squared. Negative 10 times 2 would be negative 20, so it would be negative 20x. Negative 10 squared would be positive 100. And you notice with these perfect square trinomials, no matter if it's minus or plus, the final term is always positive. You could never get a negative with a perfect square trinomial. So that's how easy it is now. Saves you some time. You don't have to do the windows. All right, with number 2, it says each trinomial below is a perfect square trinomial. Write it in its factored form. So now we're going backwards, and knowing this pattern will also help us factor. So the first one is x squared plus 16x plus 64. Well, since it's a perfect square trinomial, we know its factored form is going to look like this, and it's going to start with an x. All right, and we just got to figure out if it's a plus something, minus something, whatever. Well, really, the easiest thing to do is just look at this b term, and it's 16. So we take 16, divide it by 2, and that gives us 8. And that's what we're going to add. It's going to be x plus 8 squared. And we know this follows the pattern because 8 doubled gives you 16. 8 squared gives you 64, so it fits. So this is our factored form. All right, with part B, very similar, just deals with a minus. We have x squared minus 14x plus 49. Well, again, we know that it's a perfect square trinomial, so it's going to follow this form. We take a negative 14, because that's our b value, divide it by 2, and we get a negative 7. So it's going to be x minus 7. And again, we know this works because negative 7 times 2 gives you 14. Negative 7 squared gives you positive 49. So that's how easy it is to factor these things too. Cool, one more question. So for number 3, it says fill in the blank to make the expression a perfect square trinomial. So with part A, it says x squared plus 8x plus what makes this perfect square? Well, it's really kind of a two-step process. Neither one is really hard. We're going to take this b term, which is 8, and we're going to divide it by 2. That gives us 4. But now we got to take this 4 and square it. And we know 4 squared is equal to 16. So it has to be 16 here. And we can make sure that this works. You don't have to do this, but this would mean that it would be x plus 4 squared. And you can kind of just check it. 4 times 2 gives you 8. 4 squared gives you 16. But this is the process. I mean, you don't even necessarily have to show this work. You just know that you divide this by 2 and then square it. So with part B here, it says x squared minus 2x plus what would make this perfect square? Well, we take the negative 2, divide it by 2, which gives us a negative 1. Negative 1 squared gives us positive 1. So that's what goes in here. Part C, x squared minus 12x plus what? Well, we're going to take the negative 12, divide it by 2, means we get a negative 6. Negative 6 squared gives us positive 36. So that's what goes in here. Perfect square trinomial. And last one, x squared plus 18x plus what? Gives us a perfect square trinomial. Take the 18, divide it by 2, that gives us 9, and then 9 squared gives us 81. Alright, so we're ready for the SIA questions. I've got 6 questions for you. You know what to do with them. Thank you very much for listening.